came on the loudspeaker and said, "Before the merriment of commencement commences, I hope that your years with us here at Rydell have prepared you for the challenges you face. Who knows, among you there may be an Eleanor Roosevelt or a Rosemary Clooney, and among you young men there may be a Joe DiMaggio, a President Eisenhower, or a Vice President Nixon." Now that raises another question too, though, thinking about it. How did these people become these people? Well, I think the answer to that question, or perhaps some insight on that question, comes from the words of another song. This one was by the Hollies in 1969, and it was "He Ain't Heavy, He's My Brother." Let's listen to some of the words in that for a second. "But I'm strong, strong enough to carry him, so on we go. His welfare is of my concern. No burden is he to bear. We'll get there, for I know he will not encumber me." Now, I offer to you this afternoon that those simple words really represent a responsibility that each and every one of us in this auditorium has today. That responsibility is to support each other as we achieve our collective destiny, and it's also recognition that we're going to achieve our successes together. That is a responsibility I really challenge you to assume as soon-to-be graduates of the University of Texas at Tyler. We'll have successes, but only because of the people that have influenced us and because of the influence that we have on others. And likewise, others will have successes because of the influence that we have on them. Been thinking about the words of Principal McGee and our collective destiny. I'm really reminded of the words I saw on a placard when I was in India a couple weeks ago at the Army Institute of Technology. And those simple words were, "The real education is your attitude and your behavior with others. It defines your entire personality, no matter how qualified you are." And those words draw me to another connection that I'd like to offer you today, a connection that speaks to the future, not just to the present, and it really talks about how we should be interacting with others. And that connection is the teaching of the Iroquois Indians. They say, in every deliberation, we must consider the impact on the 7th generation, even if it requires having skin as thick as the bark of a pine. This is an oft-repeated saying, credited to the Iroquois, that comes from the Constitution, the great binding law of the Iroquois nation. Let's listen to the original words of that law for a moment. "In your efforts at lawmaking, in all your official acts, self-interest shall be cast into oblivion. Look and listen for the welfare of the whole people, and have always in view not the present, but also the coming generations." These words really speak to character and the manner in which we act, which reminds me of another placard that I saw in India. This one said, "Be more concerned with character than reputation. Character is what you are. Reputation is what others think of you." And the teaching of the Iroquois Indians also reminds me of John Dewey, a great philosopher of the early 20th century. And he said, "If we teach students today as we did yesterday, we rob them of tomorrow." Now, you're probably wondering where I'm going with all these connections. Perhaps you're even wondering if the gray old guy can remember what he had for breakfast this morning. Well, I can answer both. Yes, I had a breakfast taco this morning. And where I'm going with these connections is really the way that we interact with each other. How are we going to achieve our collective destiny? And I offer to you that we want to do it with character and integrity, with vision, and with humility. The words of the Iroquois Indians regarding skin as thick as the bark of a pine, and the words at the Army Institute in India, are really talking about character and integrity. The right decision is often not the easy decision or the popular decision, but those are the decisions that are going to define who you are and ultimately how you're going to be viewed by others. And always remember, as you comb your hair in the mirror you're facing yourself each morning, make sure that you like what you see facing back at you. The binding law of the Iroquois nation, I think, speaks to another piece of that. Looking to the future. Look and listen for the welfare of the whole people, and have always in view not only the present, but also the coming generation, as do the words of Dewey. As we influence others, as we mentor and encourage others, Do so with a vision for the future and what is in their best interests. Don't do it from our perspective, how we'd like things to be and what might be best for us. Help others do what is right for them in the years to come. And as you do this, do so with the humility that was demonstrated by Admiral Nimitz during the Second World War, really just after the Battle of Midway. Nimitz was considered a great leader, and he was given many accolades for what he'd accomplished in the South Pacific at that point in time, really a turning point in the war in the Pacific. And after that, he simply said, "There are no great people. There are simply great circumstances that ordinary people are forced to overcome." Ladies and gentlemen, I offer to you that the graduates sitting before you are going to cause the greatest change society has ever known because of the influence that they are going to have on society. Through their education at the University of Texas at Tyler, they have developed the critical thinking skills to know what is right. They have developed an understanding of our place in the world and a vision of what the future can be. And they've embraced the UT Tyler Honor Code. I embrace honor and integrity. Therefore, I choose not to lie, cheat, or steal, nor to accept the actions of those who do. Through this, I really believe we can have a change in the world. The potential for that change and the impact really struck home to me in 1989 when my wife and I visited the Soviet Union. And yes, I mean Soviet Union. The wall had not yet come down. My Soviet colleague invited us to his home to have dinner with him and his wife that evening. And it's what transpired after dinner that really has influenced my way of thinking and our possibility for influence. The questions they had of us were the same questions that we had of them. What do you do after work? What do your children do on weekends? Where do your children go to school and what do they study? We knew as little about the Soviet people as they knew about us. What we understood about each other was what our respective governments told us. But I believe coming out of that discussion, by acting positively with people, acting with humility and integrity, with vision, with character, and by separating ourselves from ideology, we can be a catalyst for change. And in my own little Pollyanna world, I think through this we can perhaps even achieve world peace. As you go through and pursue your chosen careers, I'm really encouraging you to do what AT&T told us to do in its commercials of the 1980s. Reach out and touch someone. AT&T wanted us to really communicate. And that reminds me of one last song. This one's by Bing Crosby and the Andrews Sisters. It was accentuate the positive and eliminate the negative. You will not be remembered by others for the grade you received in Dr. McGinnis's class or from Dr. Sherman. Rather, you're going to be remembered for the change that you have caused and the influence that you have had on others. I encourage you to reach out to someone and say, I notice your glass is half empty. May I help you get the other half? The people whose lives you change by your presence and commitment to others is going to be your legacy. And that is a legacy that is going to continue long into the future. By influencing people, you are indeed changing the world forever. Congratulations to each and every one of you, our graduates. And thank you to all the people gathered here in the audience today who have influenced our graduates and have helped them become who they are today. And graduates, I want to thank you for the influence that you're going to have on others far into the future and the change that you're going to cause in the world.
Well done, Jim. And the interaction I've had with these students, I have no doubt they'll have a great impact on our region and certainly our nation and the world. I don't know about trying to get them to reach out and touch anybody. Have you noticed cell phones and the various media? All right, this is risky, but how many of you actually have a cell phone on you at graduation here? Would you raise your hands here? They reach out and touch everybody every 2 seconds. But that's great. We're in communication all around the world. I now invite Dean Ross Sherman to present and certify the degree candidates in the College of Education and Psychology. Dean Sherman.
It is now time for the presentation of degree candidates from our college who will receive their master's and bachelor's degrees. Will the candidates for the following master's degrees, Master of Arts, Master of Education, and Master of Science, please rise. And the candidates for the following undergraduate degrees: Bachelor of Arts, Bachelor of Science, and Bachelor of Science in Interdisciplinary Studies. Please rise. President Mabry, on behalf of the faculty of the College of Education and Psychology, I certify that the candidates who stand before you, who have completed all academic requirements, are entitled to receive their respective degrees. Candidates, please be seated.
President Mabry, for my last time at UT Tyler, I'm proud to present to you the candidates for their degrees from the College of Engineering. Will the candidates for the degree Master of Science in the College of Engineering please rise? Will the candidates for the degrees Bachelor of Science in Construction Management, Bachelor of Science in Civil Engineering, Bachelor of Science in Electrical Engineering, and Bachelor of Science in Mechanical Engineering please rise? President Mabry, on behalf of the faculty in the College of Engineering, I certify that the candidates standing before you have achieved all the requirements for their degrees and are now entitled to receive their respective degrees.
Now if the education and psychology folks would stand again and join the engineers, and construction management people and others. Candidates and ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the University of Texas System Board of Regents, and by virtue of the authority vested by law in that board, I now confer on each of these candidates the respective academic degree for which they have been recommended, with all rights, privileges, responsibilities, and obligations pertaining thereunto. And I convey the board's sincere congratulations. And I convey my own personal congratulations, because you are indeed graduates now. You may be seated. And another fun part of the program, we will now publicly recognize our graduates, give them representations of their diplomas, and greet them here on stage. We will begin with our graduate students receiving master's degrees and then follow them with our undergraduate students receiving bachelor's degrees. And I'd ask the marshals to please begin bringing the candidates forward. And while they're lining up, let me simply say that graduate students at UT Tyler are very important to the university, and they represent a little more than a fifth of our student body. We're proud of their accomplishments and know that they'll contribute much to our community and to the world.
For the degree Master of Arts, on Carolina Brunson? Brunson, thank you. Andrew Barnson. Stephanie Renee Corbett. Amy Lee Dupree. Donna Carol Gatewood. Lindsay Nicole Quarles. Maria Teresa Rodriguez. Anna R. Schmitz. Monette Sebree Woods. Leslie Ann Bloodworth. Dana Elaine Boswell. Heather Elizabeth Wright. Brittany Carol Cole. Don Bin Do. Candace Lynn Dodd. Adrienne Claire Ewert. Misty Brooke Hawkins. Charlene Hoovers. Rebecca Lynn Lerma. Marwina Lufty. Yvonne Roca Martinez. Brittany Savannah McKay. Amber Leigh Pertel. Kimber Leanne Rice. Suzanne Nellie Rowland. Dina Uranaya. Melissa Suzanne Watson. Dana Michelle Yount. For the degree Master of Education, Amber Danner Kirk. Scott Edward Dillingham. Angela Dawn Kowalski. Angela K. Nelson. Natalie Dawn Norman. Lauren Elizabeth Rhodes.